Welcome back. So far in Phonics in Action, we have been studying the foundation layer of English, Anglo-Saxon words. These are the everyday words of English. This is not the whole story though. We know that there are two other important layers in the story of English. If we look at this chart, called the Pyramid of English, we can see that Anglo-Saxon language had simple words like wife, shop, dress, and chicken. In the Romance layer, it's a different story. The words are longer and more sophisticated, like prescription, exclusive, pretentious. In this session, we will peel away the Romance layer of English. These words are very different in structure to Anglo-Saxon words, so to decode them, we need to teach a new structure: prefix, root word, suffix. Like when students move to the higher grades at school, they encounter words from this second layer, the Romance words. These words, many of them from French, came into English via the Norman invasion of England in 1066. The Normans spoke French, and quite a few of their words derived from Latin, the language of the Romans. The Romans ruled all over Europe for hundreds of years, and their words drifted into other languages, including English. In turn, the Romans borrowed some words from Greece, which was part of their empire. Our focus today is on these Latin-based words. When students start to read chapter books like Harry Potter, they will come across Romance words. Some of the Harry Potter characters have names with Latin links, such as Lord Voldemort. Mort means death. The magic spell Petrificus Totalis has a Latin word, Petra. Petra is from ancient Greece and drifted into Latin, meaning stone. The word totalis is Latin, meaning total. This Harry Potter spell translates as turn totally into stone, or, put a nicer way, it means to freeze or stop somebody. Well, here's a top tip. The key to reading words from the Romance layer is morphology. The prefix, root word, suffix structure consists of morphemes. Morphemes are the smallest meaningful units of language. The best way to decode Romance words is to break them into morphemes. For example, the word submissive. How do we decode it? There is a prefix, sub, a root word, miss, and a suffix, iv. Whoa, this must be confusing to a beginner reader. To them, sub might mean a sandwich. Miss might mean missing the target. We need to teach them a new strategy. We need to teach them to look for morphemes, that is, meaningful parts. In this word, sub means under. Miss means to send. Iv means that the word is an adjective. We are in the world of Romance words. We have come to a new level of reading, more complex. We have to teach students these new strategies to read these words. Can anything go wrong? Nothing can go wrong, especially if you choose nice examples of Romance words. If you are in doubt, encourage the students to check the word origin by going to the dictionary. In one study, we found that in Year 3, most students did not like the dictionary. They thought it was too hard to look up words. If you help out though, they can gain a lot of knowledge from the dictionary about the origins of words. Let's look at diagnostics. Do we need to teach this? How can we check that they really need to decode these words? If you ask your students to decode the made-up words in the phonics check that we recommend, and they make errors, for example, if they read gaction as gacton, or read gaction as gas station, if they read prefute as perfute, if they read uncabness as inner beans, sandwichable as sandwich, then they will benefit from some lessons on these new word structures. Let's think about some definitions to explain the structures. Romance words have three parts: prefix, root word, suffix. Root words are the base meaning. Prefixes and suffixes add further to the base meaning, or they change the grammar in some way. Romance words are very different to the simple Old English words such as dog, cat, bed, house, chair, drink, or even their compound words like sun hat, riverbank. They're longer, they're harder to decode, and they're harder to pronounce. These are the main differences. First, there are some new letter sound rules to learn. For example, words like nation and magician, the TI and the CI have a sh sound. Secondly, the spellings show family resemblances. For example, sane and sanity, bomb and bombard. Third, the words are longer, and some of the vowel sounds have a schwa sound. It's a sound like that you hear at the end of a word like nation. And fourth, the words are built up by using this three-part structure: prefix, root word, suffix. Each part adds new information. For example, words like predict can become predictable, can become unpredictable. Submit can become submission, resubmission. The following words are Romance words: eruption, preventive, collaborate. What do you notice about these words? First, they have several parts: eruption, preventive, collaborate. And second, each part does something. The first part is a prefix. Romance words often have a prefix at the beginning, and prefixes carry meaning, like e means out, pre means before, co means together. A top tip is a way to check that the word really does have a prefix is to take it away and replace it with another prefix. For example, prevent, take away pre, you can change that to invent. Even a seemingly simple word can have a prefix. For example, we can turn attach into detach. The second thing is that the middle part is the root word, and that carries the main meaning. Like rupt in eruption means to break or burst. Vent in prevention means come about. Labor in collaborate means to work. Third thing is the last part of that word is a suffix. Usually it changes the word into a different part of speech. For example, ion, I-O-N, makes it into a noun. Ive, I-V-E, makes it into an adjective. Ate, A-T-E, makes it into a verb. Some suffixes also add meaning. For example, ian, I-A-N, means someone who does something, like a magician. And here's a top tip. A way to check that a word really does have a suffix is to take that suffix away and add a new suffix to make a new word. For example, preventive, preventable. Collaborate, collaborative. Let's look in more detail at the word eruption. E is a prefix, it means out. Rupt is a root word, it means break. Yun is a suffix, it means it is a noun. The meaning of eruption is something that breaks out. It might be a volcanic eruption, for example. With prefixes and suffixes, you can add to the root word to make different words. For example, erupt, eruption, disrupt, disruption, corrupt, corruption, and so on. Knowing the structure of Romance words helps us to read them and unlock their meaning. There are many different root words. For example, dict, meaning say, duct, meaning lead, flect, meaning bend, form, meaning shape, ject, meaning throw, mit, meaning send, pend, meaning hang or weigh, port, meaning carry, rupt, meaning break, spect, meaning see, script, meaning write, struct, meaning build, tract, meaning drag or pull. Prefixes add meaning like re, pre, dis, miss, pro, uni, inter, intro, super, trans, circum. And suffixes change the part of speech. It might be age, ants, ents, ism, itty, if. Here's another top tip. Explain to students that it is much easier to pronounce Romance words if you pronounce T-I-C-I-S-I with a sh sound. Looking at that word, shul, shun, shus, shun, shul, shun, shus. Here's an example of a mini lesson on the word submarine. Hello everybody. Today we are looking at Romance words that come from Latin. Romance words have a particular structure. Prefix, root word, suffix. Now let's look at this word, submarine. If we break it into a prefix and root word, what do we get? Yes, that's it. Sub plus marine. The prefix sub means under, and marine means to do with the sea. Submarine means under the sea. Other words like this are mariner and marinate. Now, for an extension activity with the students, you could ask them to discuss with each other what these prefixes might mean and just give them a list, like re meaning again, pre, before, post, after, un meaning not, ex meaning out, miss meaning wrong, tri meaning three, retro, back, anti meaning against, pro meaning for, super meaning over, trans meaning across. And students might be able to think of words with these prefixes. For example, port, to carry, can become transport, carry across. Cycle can become tricycle, three-wheeled cycle. Yeah, so here's an example of a mini lesson on words that have got I-O-N and I-A-N. Well, hello Harry. Well, today we are studying the difference between two suffixes, I-O-N and I-A-N. I'll write those on the board. Now, what I want to do is put this word in this column. So I'm going to write this word. Can you read that for me? Harry says state. Yep. Now I'm going to add I-O-N. So write that down. I'll take off the E at the end of state because we do not need it anymore. Now, can you read that word for me? I'll just point to it. The student says statin. Well, let's have a closer look. I'll give you a top tip about how to read words like this. The TI makes the sh sound. Harry says, station? Yep, that's it. Is there a station near where you live? A railway station? Harry doesn't say anything. Is there a petrol station? Harry says, yes. Great. Hey, now let's look at this column. What is this word here? So you write magic, and the pupil says magic. The teacher says, what's magic? And Harry says, oh, people do magic, play magic. The teacher says, yes, yeah, that's it. Yeah, they do tricks, like pull rabbits out of hats, that sort of thing. Now, if I add this, I-A-N, and remember that the C-I together make a sh sound, what have I written now? So the teacher writes out magician, but Harry says, magic can? So the teacher says, I'll help you. The C-I, that says shh. Ah, magician. Yeah, that's it. Now I'll write another word in the I-O-N column. So teacher writes discuss. What does that say? Harry says discuss. Okay, now I add I-O-N. And what does that say? Harry's not sure. So just say, it says discussion. Okay, I'll write another word in the I-A-N column. So the teacher writes electric. And you ask Harry, what does that say? Electress. Okay, Harry, let's have a closer look. That says electric. Remember the C at the end, that makes a K sound, electric. Now I'll add this, and you write I-A-N. And what does the word say now? Electran? Okay, Harry, you remember when the C-I are together, they say shh. Ah, electrician. Great. When you look at those two columns, there's something interesting about them. And I'll tell you what it is. There is a rule that says when you spell I-A-N at the end of the word, it means someone who does something. In this column, a magician is someone who does magic. An electrician is someone who works with electricity. And in this column, station and discussion, they're not people who do something. So if we write I-O-N for those words, and if you remember that I-A-N means someone who does something, it will help you when you're not sure whether to spell I-O-N or I-A-N. Yeah, and the other thing to remember about Romance words like these ones is that if you see T-I or C-I or S-I, they have a sh sound. Well, I kind of hope Harry remembers all that, but yeah, just to finish up and conclude, many thousands of Romance words in English have a prefix, root word, suffix structure. At first, these words can seem intimidating to students. The words are so long, they look different, they're hard to pronounce and spell. But on the positive side, you can help them to read those words by breaking them into meaningful parts. This will help them to see inside the words, to see that the words are made of bricks, just like in a wall, and those bricks are small, meaningful chunks called morphemes. When they see this structure, decoding words will make much more sense to them. It's really exciting to do this. It helps them to go to a new level in reading. Have fun.